What we do is before the excavation, we just go around the area, which we call as exploration, just to contextualize the archaeological excavation. That is the way we do it. So before the excavation, I went into the mosque, and I was just living just in front of the mosque, just in front of the mosque. So there was only a wall between my residence and the mosque. So before the excavation, we went to the mosque. So we were stopped by a policeman. There was a police person there. He said, "You just cannot go inside. It is as per the court order." So I told him that, we are not part of any controversy. We are from the excavation team. So if you permit us, we can go inside. So he understood our problem and he allowed us inside. So when we went inside, I could see that the mosque was standing on temple pillars. Now the question is, how do you say that these are the temple pillars or church pillars or the mosque pillars? Actually, we are precisely being trained for that. So if I see a pillar, I would be able to say that it belongs to 10th century, 11th century or 12th century. I would be able to say whether it is this one, Gupta period, Maurya period, or whatever is the period. And we would be able to distinguish it also. Suppose there is a pillar, I would be able to distinguish it from Akbar's period to Shah Jahan's period or from Jahangir's period also. So that is what we are being precisely trained. So when we went inside, we saw the temple pillars, and they were having Purna Kalasha engraved on that. So what is Purna Kalasha? Purna Kalasha is a symbol of prosperity in Hinduism. It is one of the Ashtamangala Chinnas, one of the 8 auspicious symbols which would be there on the pillar of every temple, but not in the mosque. And then there were certain deities also engraved on that one, but that was defaced. So that was the first thing which we saw. And then when Professor BB Lal excavated on the western side of it and also on the southern side, there he could get the brick bases on which the pillars were standing. So that was the second evidence we got it. And then there were a number of terracotta idols which were excavated and which was associated with the temples but not with the mosque. Because if it is a mosque area, you are not supposed to get these kind of terracotta idols and other things. So it was on the basis of these things, Professor Lal came to the conclusion that there was a temple below the mosque. But it was the year 1976-77. It was not an important issue at that time. So he did not underline things. He just gave the information, but he just did not underline the things. But what the Marxist historians did is, they went into the press because they had a lot of connections. They went into the press and they said that the site has been excavated by Professor BB Lal, and he did not get anything associated with the temple at all. Now the thing is, one is what they have said is a blatant lie. We had got a number of things associated with the temples. Number 2, they were not archaeologists. All of them were historians except one person. Number 3, none of them had visited the site while the excavation was going on. So without visiting the site, without being archaeologists, they just went into the press and made a false claim. So naturally, Professor Lal had to defend himself. He said, no, we have excavated and we have got a number of things associated with the temples, and we are pretty sure that there was a temple below the mosque. So at that time I was posted in Madras. It was Chennai, that is Madras. I was a government servant. I was a deputy superintendent archaeologist. I gave a statement. Yes, what Professor Lal says, that is completely, fully correct. And what the Marxist historians have said, that is a blatant lie. That was one of my propositions. And I also said that none of them had participated in the excavation and none of them had seen the site also, number two. And then I said that I was the only Muslim who had participated in the excavation. And Ayodhya is as important for Hindus as Makkah and Medina are for Muslims. Hence, Muslims should have willingly handed over the structure for constructing a magnificent temple. That was my submission. And Indian Express on 15th of December 1990, they published this letter in all their editions. So that was a mighty blow for the communist historians. Although they had a lot of connection with the press and other things, none of them were able to give a reply for what I had said, which means they have accepted whatever I had said. None of them could give me a reply for that one, and it was accepted by the whole places. And then a second excavation was carried out as per the instruction of the Honorable High Court of Allahabad. So this is the case of the first archaeological excavation. That was in 1976-77. Till 1987, it was not a very important issue. But in 1987, VHP took up the issue. I mean, the whole credit goes to VHP. They took up the issue, and then that the Rath Yatra of Adwaniji started. So it became a very important issue. And because of that, the second excavation was carried out. So it took a lot of time. The second excavation, the order was given for the second excavation in 2003 by the Allahabad High Court. So earlier, this communist historians, Irfan Habib and the entire group had said that Babari Masjid is standing on a virgin land. On virgin land means there was neither a Islamic structure below that one, nor a Hindu structure below that one, nor a Buddhist structure below that one. It is standing on a virgin land. That was their stand. And I had a discussion with Sayyid Shahabuddin also, because Sayyid Shahabuddin was, at that time, he was the most important figure of the Babari Masjid Action Committee. He told me also that if it is proved that there was a temple earlier, then I would be the first person to go to Hindu community and hand it over. And he was the main man at that time. So this was what Marxist historians had said. But after the order of the Allahabad High Court, a ground penetrating radar was, an experiment was made with the ground GPR survey was made. In that survey, it became very clear, no, it is not standing on the virgin land. There are certain things below the Babari Masjid. That was for the first time. So the communist historians, they got panicky. They went to so many people to stop the excavation. Some of them approached me also. I was posted at Agra at that time. Some of their own Professor Jafri of the Delhi University, he approached me also, and he told me somehow get it stopped. I said that it is a government order. It's a High Court order. Nobody can stop it. The best way would be that you have to give the land to them. So that, of course, they did not accept it. And the second excavation was carried out that under the directorship of Professor B.R. Mani. He is a very senior archaeologist and a very sober type of person. So when we excavated, we got it only 12 pillars. But when he excavated for the second time, more than 50 pillar bases were excavated. More than 50 pillar bases in 17 rows were excavated, which means it was a huge temple. It was a very huge temple. Otherwise, you would not have had 50 pillars at one place. That was one thing. And the second thing is, a number of sculptures they could excavate from that very site, and also the Shigara part of the temple, because in North Indian temple, Shigara portion would be one of the important component of a temple. So a number of architectural members which was connected, associated with the Shigara portion, that was excavated from there. And also Pranala. What is a Pranala? Pranala means, because every day you had to bath the deity, whichever is, if it is Shiva, that Shiva, or if it is Vishnu, then that Abhisheka Jala would be going through a gargoyle that is known as Pranala. And all of them would be Magara Pranala. Magara means crocodile. Magara is a symbol of Lord of river Ganga. And that Magara Pranala was excavated from there. Such a thing could not have been excavated from a residential area, from a bazaar area, and definitely not from a mosque area. And then more than 263 terracotta idols were also excavated from there. And then the most important thing was an inscription that is known as Vishnu Hari Shila Palak. It was in 20 verses, which very, very clearly says that this temple is dedicated to that Mahavishnu who has killed Bali. So the natural question is, who has killed Bali? That is Lord Ram only. And then again it says, who has killed 10-headed person. Who is 10-headed person? Ravana, who killed him. That is Rama. So all these, conclusive proofs were there. It was on the basis of that the Honorable Supreme Court had come to the conclusion there was a huge temple before the mosque. And then on the basis of that, it should be handed over to Hindu community. And that was one of the most balanced judgment I could ever think of. I never thought that it would be such a balanced one, because Muslims were also given 5 acres of land at a place which was not part of this one. If any part of this land was given to Muslim community, that would have been again an eternal problem. So it was one of the most sensible and one of the most balanced judgment by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. At Ayodhya, there is no problem. They were not, but the Muslims all over India, they were actually instigated by the Marxist historian, especially Irfan Habib and his group. He told them, because I was in Aligarh Muslim University at an earlier time, and I know the Muslim mind, because up to 1988 I was in Aligarh Muslim University. So Muslims were in a mood to hand it over to Hindu community so that a problem could be solved. But it was this Irfan Habib and his group of people who instigated the Muslim community and said, please don't do that one. Number one, they don't have any archaeological proof. That is what Irfan Habib had said. And then he again said that if you are giving one structure, then there is a list of 3,000 and more than 3,000 this one list of structures. So please don't commit that kind of mistake. And it was he who had misguided the Muslim community. So it is the communist historian who made it a problem. Otherwise, it could have been solved long back.
Long back means?
Long back means, because when it became an issue, because it became an issue right from 87 onwards. So at that time itself, Muslim community was they were just thinking, even in Kerala also, I know, but I won't divulge their name. There were many important Muslim people who wanted to hand it over and then settle the issue. But because, history, because of the misguidance of the communist group of historians, it became a big problem at a later period. I come from Koduvalli, which is a traditional bastion of PFI. So, and I grew among them. I know most of the persons. and some of the people are now even now languishing in the jail in with this one Tihar jail. So the opposition was very strong. I could, of course, sustain it, but my family could not sustain it because many of my family members were deeply affected, and I thought that some kind of, because I was under the police, this one when police protection for 3 years. It was only after the prohibition of the PFI this police security was lifted. I had to flee from here to Bihar because Bihar is the place where I had worked earlier. Then came back. Then after that I had to flee to Delhi, then to Madhya Pradesh, then to this one Chhattisgarh, and similarly I had to shift my base to various places. But fortunately for me, that COVID came as as a savior. If by that time, because of the COVID, the entire world was shut down, and because of that, I could somehow, luckily, it was a providential escape for me. Otherwise, things would have been very difficult for me, and I would not have been here to tell you the whole story.